Hi there, Scorpio. Welcome to a relationship reading for July 2025. It's Raina from Tarot Alchemy by Raina Moon. If you're just discovering me for the first time, I have a main channel called Raina Moon Astrology, where I have, not surprisingly, astrological readings, but I do have some tarot readings. My intention for starting this channel was just to have all tarot here, all astrology there. But, I have to do it gradually because I have to replace content on my main channel, or else it's going to, not be, it has to be recommended, keep that algorithm humming. I have to do tarot readings still over there. And I realized that as I attempted to, shift, that it wasn't going to be something I could just abruptly change. So for now, I'm planning on making this a love tarot channel. I don't know, how long that will hold. I don't like to just limit myself, but that's the only way I can think to differentiate between the two. But, I might have like a weekly, maybe I'll do one weekly set a month eventually. It's also about feeling able to do recordings. We've had a lot of work in this area, so it's so we'll see. So this is for people if you are in a shaky relationship. I hope I said relationship, because singles, I'll be doing single readings separately. But this is like if you're thinking about, should I leave this relationship? And just kind of synchronicity around a troubled relationship, or if you're separated, or if somebody that you're an ex with and maybe you would like to get back with them or they would like to get back with you. We'll look at, oh my God. The reason I'm laughing is I just did Virgo's reading, and I got the Justice card as the first card, and I shuffled these cards, in between. And I was saying with that reading that it's so funny how when I've been doing these relationship readings that I keep getting the Justice card. I've also gotten the Judgment card in some readings, along with the Justice card. And there's another one that connects with the legal system. I think it's Knight of Swords is lawyers, but there was another card that I was getting too. I think it was like the World card, because that's like the end of an era. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Justice card, and it's interesting because, I was talking, like I said, I just did Virgo's reading, and I got it in the exact same heart of the matter focus, card central to the reading. And I was saying to Virgo that, if your sign is right next to Libra, you could have inner planets in Libra. This card is connected to Libra, and that could mean that you are somebody who doesn't like conflict, who wants, maybe has a hard time like asserting yourself, asking for what you need, and even like when it comes to the scales here, that could be something that's really important for you, is like fairness within a relationship. But Libra people can be very accommodating. And you notice she's also holding a sword, and I got and I said the sword of truth because that's what I assume. And then I got the Ace of Swords because I do believe that, the Ace of Swords is like seeing the truth. I especially think it means dispelling illusion, getting out of denial, that kind of thing. So Scorpio, you may be seeking justice. If you have been cheated on and you were faithful to that person, you may say to yourself, this is unfair. And it's not okay that somebody did this to me, because it's almost like we had a contract. And even if you're somebody who is watching this and you didn't get legally married, in some cases you might have a child together and you feel that there are just certain things you don't do. Because I think a lot of Scorpio people wouldn't cheat. Now, I know that some people might be watching this for the person that they are with or that they left, and you might say, no, I was with, because I've said things like this about certain signs in the past, and people are like, no, they're terrible and blah blah blah. But I think the average Scorpio person, because it would be so devastating to them, doesn't want to do that to another person. So the Justice card can really be about what is fair and what is not fair in relationships, in life, and seeking that justice. And it could mean seeking it legally, or debating it within yourself. In the past position, we have the Nine of Cups. So when I picked this card and I was thinking about it, I was thinking, I wonder if a Scorpio person has met somebody new. And maybe they're not actually stepping out on their significant other, but they are seeing how differently they are viewed by this new person. And that is really making an impact, because I believe that that is one of the main catalysts for getting unhitched, is when somebody who feels beaten down. I'm not even talking about literally. I'm talking about just like emotionally feels drained with a relationship, and they start interacting with someone who is very courteous, complimentary, seems interested in what you have to say, that it starts the wheels going in your head, and you're like, oh, I guess there are more options in life. I was kind of with this tunnel vision that I thought, I just have to settle for this for the rest of my life. The higher message is a Chariot card, which means, as I have observed about this particular deck, which is, I think it's called the Witch's Tarot or something like that. And they have it seems like all of the characters are women, or maybe androgynous at best. But it's faithful to Rider-Waite, which is kind of neat, because it has modern symbols and kind of quirky symbols, but it still kind of makes you think of Rider-Waite. So it can be easier to interpret, especially if you're somebody that doesn't really know the cards by the names themselves, and you have to look at the images to get a feel for it. Not that this would make you think of anything specific, I guess. By the way, pardon a lawnmower if you hear it. These things just come out of left field, and it's pretty annoying. I'm loving the trend of people letting their grass grow really high. So these are sphinxes, but they're black and white. That's I think the Rider-Waite have horses, but they're called, in the Rider-Waite, the horses of duality. So these creatures of duality speak to the yin and the yang of life, and she's in the middle of it, and there's movement because she's got her chopper. And it's meant to say that sometimes we're successful in spite of ourselves, in spite of the challenges that we face. And it's really something that we can take pride in, because we're able to uh, you know transcend that, because this is the spiritual message. So it's really talking about, like, when a person is very daunted by what they have to face, and the things that are challenging. I mean, if everything was easy, then it would be a cakewalk, but it's not. And also, I think too, like, even feelings wise, that people, you might have this kind of mixed emotion about, like, if you are thinking of leaving a partner, you might have mixed emotions about that. It might not be 100% against that person. And so it makes it hard to do it. But the Chariot is saying that you can triumph even if it seems daunting, because you're like of mixed emotions about doing it. What is crossing you is the High Priestess, and this is the card that's kind of that part of us, our higher self, that is connected to God's source energy, that is able, that's where intuition comes from. And when it's very clear intuition, and it's in the challenged position. And I think it's in the challenged position because of the emotions that are generated that make it hard. I know personally that when I have strong feelings about something, it's hard to really tune into what is best, because it's like the subjectivity, and the subjectivity is coming from conditioning, from what we are used to, what our expectations are. And it makes it harder to really discern if something is right for us or not. And in those moments, that's when we have to, one of my books, one of the phrases of the High Priestess is be still and know. And the stillness is what silences the mind chatter. Instead of just being like complaining to other people, and you're just getting into the drama of whatever your problem is. They did this to me, they did that. And trying, a lot of times when people are complaining about their relationship, they are looking for um, that validation that they are in the right, that they're not crazy for being upset about something. Maybe they're being gaslighted by their partner, and they need that. But the problem is that when you get into that complaining mode, and you're like kind of really trying to solicit support, it doesn't really lift you out of the kind of the problem itself, because the detachment is where you can look at that situation and not just take it personally, but you can say, yeah, this would be the best thing. And taking it personally, like I was saying with the Chariot card, even like mixed emotions. Sometimes people want to leave a relationship, but they're thinking, God, I would be such a bad person. People would think I was such a jerk for doing this, or the other person, they're a nice person. It's not like they're bad. I don't want to do this to that person. And not realizing that um, by staying in a relationship that you feel is not in alignment with you, it's not doing that person any favors, because it's blocking them from, being with the person who is fully on board. You know what I mean? But because I always talk about eat, love, pray. That was what was her name? Gilbert. I can't think of her first name, but she's a great writer. But she was with a man that she said was a decent person, but she just did not feel that she was meant to be with that person. In this case, you may have actually experienced something that was really bad, uh, and you feel like this is not okay, and I need to um, get out of this situation, but you don't know how to get out of it. The What's coming in is the Ace of Swords, and this is that sword of truth. It might kind of snap you out of any type of illusions or delusions about what you're dealing with and make you willing to see the truth, so you're not in denial anymore, so that you can actually get on with your life. I think that's really what this card represents to me, because aces are new beginnings. And the outcome is the Eight of Swords. Usually, when I do general readings, I don't end on cards like this, but in this, I'm going to, because I think it's very important. This is about feeling stuck, feeling like you can't progress, but you see, and she's blindfolded. So you have to kind of break through old programming. If you feel a sense of like, I'm doing something wrong, um, this is all my fault. Like if you're blaming yourself for the failure of a relationship, you're going to have to really check in with yourself and look at what you're telling yourself, because those kinds of um, things that people say to themselves that may be completely false, they keep people stuck. And when it keeps you stuck, how can you progress? How are you able to solve this problem? And the problem is being able to leave a situation without feeling that you're a bad person. That's one interpretation, I would say. And, or maybe it's like, how can I even do this? I'm afraid to do this. So I'm going to leave it there, because this is, nothing is ever like wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow. Just giving you food for thought, Scorpio. If you would like a private reading, I'm primarily an astrologer, but I do private tarot readings as well. I do combination readings with astrology and tarot, which are my package deals. You can find out more information about my readings at the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.